mastering talent acquisition using Breezy HR, and optimizing your application tracking software for the best talent. So today we're going to cover what an ATS is, how to implement it, how to use assessments, how to use background checks, and really how to build a robust process. This is going to be a full tutorial. There'll be chapters below if you guys want to skip to specific spots, if you're looking for something special, but we're going to jump right into it. So first off, what is an application tracking software? Basically, it works exactly like a CRM, but just for recruiting. One of the main advantages that I enjoy is I can create a job listing and post it to hundreds of job boards all at one time, and then all the applications come into one place, just like a CRM, and I can build pipelines, kind of like a sales pipeline, where we can step by step of an application for an individual, setting up their interviews and building in robust automations to make sure that they're always in communication, and you have kind of that, I hate to use the word, but cookie cutter process that's consistent and reliable, but also reduces a lot of biasm when it comes to recruiting. So without further ado, I just want to jump into the application tracking software. As we go through this, we'll talk about the importance of assessments, background checks, how to build out your pipeline, how to build out messaging, how to list something, and more. All right, so we're jumping in. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is go jump into Breezy HR. This is just a kind of overview of their website. I'm not affiliated with them. I will probably throw an affiliate link in the description, so if you guys wanna try them out, that'd be great. I tried about 15 different application tracking softwares, and I found this one to be the best for us based on price. They have really good price options. They even have a freemium option, and it just is really effective. I think that when it becomes a point where if you're a recruiting firm, that might be a different scenario. But if you're a small or medium business recruiting upwards of 20 to 50 people a month, or just 2 a month, I think this is gonna be one of the best places to start, and definitely one of the most budget friendly with the different price options. All right, so we're gonna jump right in. So this is our internal ATS. This is what it looks like. I'm gonna show you exactly what we do, what those pipelines look like, and what that process is. So let's just start off. I think the most important thing is knowing that you can post jobs to hundreds of sites. We have multiple jobs listed. You post jobs in all different locations. You can do remote jobs, you can do in-person. When you have the higher packages, you can have unlimited. I think some of the smaller packages are set to a specific number of job postings. But this is just what it looks like with a different job post. So if you want to do a new post, you would come up here and add position. You can clone jobs, which I really enjoy because we set them up a specific way, and then we can just clone it. But the first thing I'll do is just show you how to create a job. This is kind of backwards because there's other pieces that we're going to do and nuances, but I think the easiest way and the most transparent way to do that is to show you posting a new job from the start to finish. So I'm not going to do anything crazy here. I'm going to title it just gibberish. Once you hit publish, it'll go live to your website if you have it set up, and it'll also go live to hundreds of job boards. Typically, it takes about 24 to 48 hours for that to go live. So we have a nice landing page for recruits, tells them about the company, shows them a video. This is on our website, but then once you hit see options, this is what the Breezy job portal looks like, and they do a really good job. It's listed by department and location. You can change that. People can filter through it. And there's a lot of options here in customization. So if I was just looking at Orlando, Florida, it'll show me the jobs. Then you can click on it and move things around. You can see how to apply. You can do quick applies using LinkedIn or Indeed. So it really makes it easy for the recruits. It looks professional. All the notifications are set up properly. And then I just want to show you what that looks like. So let's just go apply, and it walks right through. For us, they can do a live video recording, which I think is great. And as you can see, it's all kind of in our color branded guide. So it works great. They can upload things. They can use different platforms to apply and make it really quick for them. This will also go, like I said, on Indeed and all those platforms. So we're just setting it up. Department, again, I'm not doing anything particular. Internal ID, we don't use this, but if you had specific job codes, or if you're using a recruiting firm, you can pick the country, state, city. You can list this as remote and just kind of leave it as the United States. I have a job listed right now for a VA in the Philippines, and I'm able to run ads to the Philippines, which is incredible. I don't have to rely on other platforms like Upwork and Fiverr because I have people coming in, and as we get to it, I'll show you the importance of assessments, which has been a critical part of our business. So there's other options here, part-time, contractor. So we're just gonna kind of go through different categories. Any specific education that you want them to have, experience level. Some of this will show in different job boards if you want to do a salary range, We typically don't, but for a higher scale end job, you might want to list that because you'll probably get more recruits because that'll get more attention. Specific tags, that's an internal tool. You can use it or not. Other information, these I don't really worry about too much. You can create all of this if you need it. Job description, they have pre-templated job descriptions for you. We use AI to modify these and put in our information. All right, so I want to show you our job description as we're going through this. One of the tips we got from a recruiter is to make it very mobile friendly. So short bullets. Imagine that half your people or more are applying on the phone. So they're using their phone or maybe a tablet. So we bolded specific things and we did bulleted. We kept the description kind of short, but just tried to add as much information. And we put benefits first. So that way they can see, what they get. So it's a remote job, it's a flexible job. It has, office opportunities. It comes with unlimited PTO. All of these things, especially at the top, will help you have a better chance of getting people to actually apply for the job because you'll get hundreds of views but maybe not a bunch of applications. That's usually a job listing issue. So this is where it gets a little bit more advanced and the specific things to set up. There are different options that you can pick and it's kind of endless, which is great. I always make some changes here. So name is required, email address required. I require a phone number because we want to get in touch with them. I don't want an address for a couple reasons. Mainly, I'm trying to remove anything that is going to add discrimination. So obviously, it's important that you're just looking at the information as you get it and try to avoid things that could cause discrimination errors. So remove address, desired salary, I remove. Upload resume, I require. So I will disable. Some of this stuff is just too much information. It's too hard for them to apply. It makes the application longer and it reduces your conversions. Cover letter, I disable because I'm going to do a question at the beginning of this. Available questionnaire. So this is one of the setup things that we are going to need to set up. So I have different questionnaires for different jobs. So we'll just use our marketing one right now. So you'll have to play with these. So I like that actually checked. And then apply via email. So they can use this email to apply. We don't typically use that strategy. We just have it go up to job boards. But there's again, if you're using recruiters or things like that, you can put them directly into the system and give them ways to bring people in. Okay, so before we go any further, I'm going to pull up the available questionnaires. There's some information on it specifically in here. Basically, I will just go do a walkthrough. So, all right, so any advanced recruiting strategies we're gonna do in this recruiting preferences. So questions are right here. They do a good job of making it intuitive, but it's not perfectly intuitive. So this is all of those options. And then here's just the questionnaire. So let's just look at that marketing one, click edit. And it's super simple. We just ask 2 or 3 questions. I love having a video question. I highly recommend making the video optional for a couple reasons, but mainly because it is a little glitchy. Some platforms it works, some platforms it doesn't. So you don't want people to not be able to apply because they weren't able to upload their video. But we do require a written sample, and that's actually because not necessarily we want to see, their answer, but we want to see their writing skills. As a PR firm, we're looking specifically, communication is critical for us. So can they communicate clearly? Are they writing at a professional level? And we try to put that in multiple times throughout the application process, so that way we know what to expect. You can move people to a specific pipeline and other things in here. So again, there's a lot of advanced options, but that's just the general of what it looks like. So once we have that, we're just gonna go to the next stage. So pipelines. Pipelines are probably the most important thing when you're building this out. I mentioned earlier that the application tracking system or software works just like a CRM. So this pipeline is your sales pipeline in a sense. It's where people are gonna come in and go through the process. So I've gone through multiple iterations of this. We used to do multiple steps for assessments and then multiple steps for interviews. It was about 9 steps. And what happened is it took too long to get people into the system. It was really kind of cumbersome. They had to go through a lot of steps. If there was any bottlenecks, someone was out of town, it could take weeks, if not months, to hire. So what we tried to do is consolidate this as tight as possible. Typically now we do 1 assessment and 2 interviews. So that 1 assessment, we do that right away. So once they come in, they do their assessment. This actually allows us to look less at the resume and the college they went to and any kind of stuff that could be potentially biased, and really just looks at the information that we're looking for. Their writing skills, their communication skills, their leadership skills, their EQ, their IQ, all of that's kind of built into our assessments, which really levels the playing field even when it comes to looking at universities. Is if you have someone apply from Harvard University and then you have someone apply from a community college, it's not necessarily a fair thing to look at that, just because, finances and all of these things come to play and you don't know their past, but the assessments are non-biased and really just look at, where they stand and kind of where they are at the moment. So that's why I love these assessments so much. So basically we can modify this in the same area. So we're gonna go over here to pipelines. So you can see we have a whole bunch of pipelines. Let's use the marketing one again, since that's just what we're going through. And it's really easy. So right here, they apply and get their assessment. So if you look at this, once we create a new stage, this is what it looks like. You can title it. You have different options of selections of what to put in here. You can set an email. You can add that email. So these are all templates. You can put delays in those, which we do for like a rejection, or if it's on a weekend, we try to delay it. But mostly for those rejections, we want to, if they interview with us, we still want to be able to move them through. So if the team says that they're not qualified or not a good fit for us, then we'll go ahead and send that rejection. But for us, it sends 2 to 3 days later. And that's just because you don't want them to think kind of, I walked in and then, oh no, they said no. It's a little bit just cleaner. Then you have avoid nights and weekends, other options in here. You can add multiple steps. So I can add, let's see, a background check, something we'll go into later. We use Bamboo HR, so that's one of those options. Send questionnaire, send assessment is the one that, again, I think is so critical. I will show you what tool we use as well, so we'll jump into how to build those templates first and then the assessments. So I'll show you an example of what ours looks like. So basically, they apply, they're getting a welcome email, a welcome text, and an assessment all at the same time. We do not interview anyone that doesn't do the assessment across the board, from the lowest paid job to the highest paid job. They have to do an assessment. I've brought in people that I know are amazing and I still make them do their assessment. It also helps us get benchmarks on individuals and helps us look at strengths and weaknesses on how to help them be successful. One of the great things about the way we do the assessments is that it will actually give them feedback as well. So there's an employer side of it and the interviewer side of it where they get this assessment back, which is, we've got a lot of really good feedback even from people that were not accepted to the job just because they like it in that assessment. All right, so that's stage one is the assessment, then the assessment review. Then you have an interview. This is kind of our first level HR professional. They're interviewing just really focused on specific questions, cultural fit. Do they understand the job role? Are they gonna, again, fit into the company? Do they actually wanna work here? Or are they just looking for a job? All of these things, we train this individual and they're doing the majority of those first round interviews. So they're going through all of the information, going through the first round interview, and then determining they're kind of that, whether they're gonna get onto a manager's calendar. So their entire job is basically bringing in the best talent. For a smaller organization, this person started off as my admin, my assistant, and helping with HR material. So then we have a kind of pause where it will be under review for in-person. So basically this person will do the review, and then if they like them, they'll move them to the review section. And then once a week or once a day, depending on how quickly you're trying to go, that person will meet with the hiring manager to go over the person's qualifications, how they thought, and kind of what they think, if they're gonna be a good fit, why and why not. And then from there, we'll move them to an in-person interview or a Zoom interview or disqualify them. Next step for us, for this job, it's an in-person job. So we're looking at that in-person interview. Then we do a team review and then a disqualification. We have a did not accept. And if we do give them an offer, we actually move them into a different pipeline. And that way we can work them through a little bit cleaner. So I will show you just the back end of what these look like for us. So they get a thank you message. It has some details in there. They get their assessment, and then we use a nurture campaign to send that email. So they get an SMS here and an email here. The reason why SMS is we found that a lot of people were not getting the information. The emails were going to spam. They didn't see it in time. So it's very quick. We do it instantly. So they apply within 2 or 3 minutes. They're getting an SMS back saying, thank you so much for applying. We just sent you over an assessment. We're really excited to take the next steps with you. And all of these are built into different templates. So you can see here, the assessment will automatically go to the assessment review, which is our next step. So once they do that, they go over to this assessment review, they get another notification. We spent a lot of time working on our templates. We include videos in our templates, explaining the job role, explaining what Otter is, what our culture is, asking them to do specific things in the sense of, go research us before the interview, make sure that you're dressed professionally. We're actually giving them the tips to success right there and seeing who follows directions. So the next step is just that same thing. These are manual movements over where they're getting invited over to an interview. This is just a pause, basically allowing us to give feedback. There's not an automation on this one at all. Then another interview. Again, this is done through a template, so email or SMS. We do feedback. We let them know that they're under review. There's a video on this stage just letting them know where they are in the process. So we do our best to make sure that we're walking people through and telling them where they are. Disqualification does have an automation. So that one is letting them know we delay it by 2 days. Again, this is so that our team doesn't have to, if we're sitting, a lot of times we'll do a round robin after an interview and decide if they're a good fit for us. If we go ahead and need to disqualify them, then we'll do that right away, which a lot of times is same day. But it's no fun to get a disqualification letter, on your drive home from an interview. So we try to be respectful of that. And then did not accept, no automation here. So sometimes they'll get another job and we need to move them out of the pipeline, or we give them an offer and they're not interested based on whatever reason. We'll move them to the did not accept pipeline. All right, so before I show you how to do the messaging and assessments, which are so critical, I do want to show you just what that pipeline looks like internally. So one of the reasons why I love Breezy HR is specifically because of these pipelines that work like sales pipelines. So first off, you're getting the applications to go to hundreds of job boards, so you're getting way more applications than you normally would. But then you have really clear pipelines. So we'll go to a marketing one. All right, so we're in the marketing assessment or pipeline. So this is what it looks like. People are going to apply in this stage. Once they this is the exact same that we just set up. Once they apply, it'll automatically move them over to this stage where they're under review. If they do decent on the assessment and do well, they're going to move to the next stage, which is that interview, and then so on. So we just went through all these steps, but you can literally just drag and move people over. There's a whole bunch of really cool tools. You can look at them specifically by candidate. If there's tasks, inbox, there's all these things here. You have even a calendar. I don't want to overwhelm people. I want them to be able to just set this up and be efficient with it. So we'll kind of keep this light. If there are specific questions, again, put them in the comments. I'll do specific videos on different steps. So let me just add a sample candidate for you guys. So it's not my real phone number, and so this will ask me, I'm adding them in manually. Do I want to send them an automation? So this is what the back end of a brand new account looks like. I'm trying to keep everything confidential. So again, this is my name. This is fine to share. But this is what it'll look like. If it links to their LinkedIn, it'll show right there, their experience, their resume will be added, any documentations they upload. Here's where those questions go. There'll be other things here, all of their information. What I love also is there's links to automatically sometimes their social media. So if they apply through LinkedIn, it'll link to their LinkedIn. If they put any other social media or it's linked to their account somehow, that'll also be in there, which is, if they have a portfolio, all those links will auto be added here. So let's see. And you can literally just add these as well. So that'll look like, and it would take you directly there, and you can see all their accounts would be right here. Under this dashboard, you'll see discussion. So this, you can tag your team. So at kind of like a CRM, you can tag individuals in your company. You have notes in here. This will be all the communications that go back and forth. You can use your templates in here as well. So there's a whole bunch of templates. You can even sign e-templates, which is just documents where they can actually e-sign, built right in. We use PandaDoc for our document management system just because we use that across all contracts, and it's a little bit more controlled about who can see it. But they do have that built in. It actually works really well. So if you just don't have anything, it's a great place to start and use, and it's all stored live in here. So you can see any meetings. We decided to use Calendly instead of their integrated calendar system. Their integrated calendar system is actually beautiful, but they had one flaw where it would show, basically if I set up the workflows, it would always include me even if I wasn't in those interviews. So they have the organizer included, which is a big issue. Unfortunately, I reached out to support. That's the one thing that they haven't fixed for me. Maybe if they see this video and you guys all comment and like it, we can get that fixed. But anyways, you can create scorecards. So scorecards are in the same area. They're right here. Different questions people are looking for, and it just gives you a good idea. And the nice thing is once they have a score, it'll show up next to their name. And we encourage our team, there's a template for them to be very specific. That's how it look, and then there you go. So team score 10. Now every person that has access to this can score them. So let's just say one person did a a 10 and the other person did a 1, it would average that out, which is great, and that's very visible through the pipeline. Then you can add tasks in here, which kind of, again, this works a lot like a CRM or project management system, so there's a lot in there. Team scores you can see here, so you can see all the scores in one place. Assessments is what I'm going to talk about, and templates next. Background checks, once you're going to give that hire, and then references you can build right in here. Now there's, again, a lot of tools here. Anything I'm showing you is what I think is the bare minimum to be extremely successful with this, so we do use the scorecards. So the next step here is going to be the templates, which are, there are two types. There's messaging templates and nurture campaigns. If you want to send an SMS and an email at the same time, you have to use the combination of a nurture campaign and a messaging template. So this is just what it looks like. You add a new folder, a new campaign. I'm gonna kind of go into templates. You can do these for email or SMS. We have different stages for different pipelines. If you're gonna use Calendly versus their integrated calendar system, you can add those into your email templates. And this is what it just looks like. You add whatever you need to do. Again, I'm just throwing in some random variables. You can use candidate name, job position. If you have using their calendar system, you can integrate all of that and you can put them into specific folders and stay super organized. All right, so before I go into the assessments, which is another complicated step, the interview guide, if you're gonna use their calendar system, you can actually create interview guides right here, which are basically just specific questions. But the great thing about using their calendar system is it'll pull up the interview guide for the interviewer. They can live answer and move things around. I highly recommend using interview guides. One of the big advantages of an application tracking software is that you can make your interview process more consistent, more reliable, and remove biasm. So that's why we try to ask similar questions every time. A lot of times there'll be 3 or 4 variations of the question based on their experience, where they are, if they're entry level, if they're an executive, and you can build different steps in your interview process. So that way, I always ask very similar questions. That way, again, it's consistency and removing biasm and making sure that you're getting down to give everyone a fair chance. Now, the assessment software. So this is how we integrate it. So we use Criteria. It's an amazing software. It's a little cumbersome. We found that it was going to be the cheapest for us, and so that's why we did it. And what it is it has a whole bunch of assessments, and it allows you to ask very specific questions. You can make your own assessments. They have pre-built assessments. We use a mixture of pre-built and our own assessments. Just for confidentiality, I'm not going to go into the assessments we use or anyone's scores, but it's really critical. I think that one of the biggest game changers that we did was implementing assessments to make sure that we're bringing in people that want to be here. All right, so I know I've thrown a lot at you, but the pipeline is the most difficult part to build, and that's how we build the pipeline. Those are all the steps. Those are all the little pieces that go into it, and that's why it took so long to go through. Now, the next section is the screening questions. So those were the scorecards basically that I already went through when I showed you, so I can add a screening question in here. They do have some AI features that we don't currently use. We're on their highest plan, but they offer some add-ons as they build out new kind of integrations. I would recommend using them only if you have large-scale applications or if you're getting hundreds, if not thousands, of applicants per job. Sometimes I do turn these on just because we're getting bombarded with a whole bunch of qualified applications and we need to learn more about these individuals. Now, probably one of the most powerful things is posting your application to other job boards. So right in here, you can make this public. It'll be you wanna make sure to enable everything. And then this will go to hundreds, if not thousands of job boards, and you will get applications right away without advertising. Now, if you need to start advertising, there's a whole bunch of different job boards in here. We have found that Indeed is by far the best return for us on advertised spend, but also brings in the majority of our applications. We get about 30% of applications through our website, and then almost the rest come from Indeed, with LinkedIn and ZipRecruiter being up there. But like if it was like 70% Indeed, then you'll get 5% from the other platforms. They have one specifically for remote jobs, and there's a whole bunch of analytics tools. So if you come into promotions, there's actually going to be a link to see the analytics behind it. You can see what keywords are working, what aren't. So if you want to get into optimizing your job applications, you can see that, and you're able to see where all your applications are coming from. All right, so I've set this so that I have to physically approve any jobs that go up. I think it's critical that they're set up properly, the pipelines are set up properly, the assessments are set up properly. And as you can see, it is a little complicated, but that's the advantage of being able to clone a job. So I'm not gonna save this, but I can quickly show you here's one for a VA we're hiring in the Philippines. They're gonna work with our team, and then I can just go through and clone this job. And I'll quickly just jump through. Everything's already set up for us. Here's literally the settings that we use, and I'm just gonna go through it so you can see what we're doing. There's all the job boards. You can use AI to do score matching. We don't currently do that. Again, the advertising and the approval process. All right, so I'm gonna go through a couple more features with you guys quickly, but I've already gone through the most important features is the setup. You'll have to learn as you go, but over here is kind of your main dashboard. You'll see candidates. You can, when you're in a specific candidate, you can star and follow, get notifications for all of those. I recommend modifying your notifications, especially if you're an admin, to adjust things. There's a lot of filter features. You can go through by all candidates. You can modify specific pipelines and go through things like that to make that whole process quicker. There's a next button through those candidates, all the job roles. Reports are extremely critical. You can see where all your applications are coming from, determine where to invest more money, and really know what those tools look like if you're still getting applications coming in, how many people are viewing applications, all of this. So positions viewed. So we're not actively hiring for a lot right now, but we've had almost 1,000 views in the last 7 days. Candidates applied in the last 7 days is 90. Candidates disqualified. Candidates scored. So it shows you all of this. So you can see that our career portal actually brings in more views than anything else. So we have and that's also our website. So these are really the same. So we're driving a lot of our own traffic to these jobs by ourselves. So these are where the views are coming from. Applied sources. So Indeed is actually the higher applied source. So they're probably Googling us or looking us up as they're applying, but they're still coming in through Indeed. Then AutoPR is our second, and so on. Sponsored, here's our sponsored. We don't use the calendar system. Again, we use Calendly just because of that one issue I mentioned earlier with the admin always being involved in those interviews. It was blocking up too much time on people's calendars and causing issues. So as you can see, I'm behind on my tasks, but anytime they go through a specific pipeline that requires them to be reviewed. So basically when it goes to that team review, it auto creates a task for me to go in and review that. Right now, I'm not involved in a specific hiring position, so I haven't been modifying or monitoring this, but if I was, that's when I would go look. So this is what the inbox looks like. Unfortunately, most of it's gonna be grayed out for you guys just because of confidentiality, but this is where you can see all those messages. They will be forwarded to you if you have notifications turned on, but this is great because everyone in the job, there's permissions that we went through where you add your team in. If you don't want specific people to see that, you can remove them from the team, but we have our HR hiring manager go through and manage all of these. That is basically all the most critical things. Of course, you have to set up your branded page. There's settings in there for that, and I'm hoping you guys can walk through, but these were the things that I thought were critical for you guys to really see. And then there's one more step that we did later on is we built out a custom pipeline for when individuals are hiring. So basically that pipeline, but then we went through different stages. Again, just like a CRM where they'd be given a phone call for their offer. So let me just pull up that pipeline for you. So we're in the pipeline templates, and then we're gonna look for pipelines, and we have our offer and hire people. So this is what the pipeline looks like. This is kind of internal, but we have AR, which is action required, offer by phone. So the first thing we do is give the candidate a phone call, offering them a position and making sure that they're interested before we go create that offer letter, or if they want to give feedback or need a title change or a specific start date. That's also when we'll ask their address because we put that into the offer details. So this board interview is something that we added in occasionally if it's a higher level position. We want to make sure before it actually goes before that phone call, but we want to make sure that we're going to give them a round robin with all our executives. So it's hard to get every executive in a room. That's why it's not part of a main campaign, but if they're coming in for a high level position, that's where that would happen. Then we send our employee offer letter. We do a background check. I didn't go into this, but under integrations, you can integrate with background softwares. We use Checker. It works really well for us. It's fairly affordable. I think it's like $14 currently per background check, and you can customize those to higher end background checks if you need other things done, and it's all kind of API, so it will go into the system for you. Then once they go through all of that, they get an employee packet, which is their employee handbook, and if they're a contractor or different things, they get an employee agreement as well that we ask them to sign off before they go to the next step, which is part of their offer letter. Then once that's done, they're basically done with the admin step of that, and they get a welcome email. That welcome email will include kind of their start date, expectations for starting. So we always ask our team to bring in headphones, things like that. Anything that they need to know for the first day, where their first day is, what time to be there. All of these help kind of remove questions and alleviate some stress and anxiety of starting a new job. And then finally, if for some reason throughout that process they decided that, it wasn't right fit for them, or vice versa, we decided, they never wanted to kind of go through the background check, and obviously that's going to be a red flag for us, we would just go ahead and disqualify them. And so that is included in their offer letter. They have to go through the background check, and they have to, complete all of the onboarding documentation, or they're disqualified. So that's it for today. I hope that really helped you with finding the right talent, setting up Breezy, and understanding the importance of these assessments and really how to build out that CRM or pipeline for candidates so you can have the best recruiting process. And this will really allow you to scale and bring in the best team possible. Guys, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe and add in the comments if you have any questions and want to see other videos done. Thank you.